at this. Hey, ain't the contract is up. Now, the only way this contract not up is two ways. They held up every part of the agreement, which we know they never held up a single part. We can't find a treaty that's ever been honored because all of them is in litigation as we speak. It wouldn't be in litigation had they been honored.
Right.
So now that gives us what we call superior claim on the contract. The only problem is we have to figure out how do we apply superior jurisdiction in order to secure a superior claim. We have to follow the laws of nature and go back to our original culture. They gave us a remedy in their system during the life of the contract. But when the contract expired, the remedy expires with it. So they never honored it, which means that I can close the contract out at any time I become aware in my life that the contract is predicated up on fraud, deception, and the theft of the wealth of the nations, and that the intentions is never to honor the contract. The last one, the intention to never honor the contract, becomes self-evident. That means it presents its own self as evidence based off consistent actions from the occupier to never honor a single contract. If they've never honored one, they continuously make them, they never honor them, but they always hold us to them. That means that they never had any intentions of honoring any other contracts. Right? It proves itself. You don't have to prove it.
Right.
Show me the contract they upheld. Right? Nobody never foreclosed on the first contract. Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Right? Now, this is what's upsetting to the Moors that didn't understand what me and Taj was talking about completely. Because Noble Drew Ali the contract was in 100% effect. So he gave us both the remedy and the solution at the same time. Right?
He's the one that was teaching everybody about the 1099s, right? I'm not saying it was him, but
well, he didn't take it that far. Right? What you get with the Moorish literature is that's all he got. Anything else is in the Moorish newspapers that's now almost impossible to find unless you go find them on microfilm in the old library. But there used to be a daily Moorish newspaper that the Moorish Science Temple put out, or the Moorish Temple of Science used to put out under Noble Drew Ali. Those are been defunct. They've been closed down. There was also a group of Black Star Press had a newspaper that came out. I think his was weekly under the UNIA. In a lot of those, you still have to go to microfilm to find them, but they're there. Right? And so, but the Moorish literature is telling us how to navigate the contract until we in a position to run the government and claim the contract and overthrow the government, the imposter government. It's not our shit. Right? They holding us under admiralty jurisdiction. They holding us under salvage rights. And they listing us as the property of the landmass that crashed into their ship. The claim is preposterous on its face.
They listen. That's right, what Malcolm was saying was the Plymouth Rock. We land on Plymouth Rock.
Yeah. So now, if it's ridiculous on its face, all we have to do, one of us, walk in there and say, "Hey, that's ridiculous. That don't even apply." Nobody did it because nobody knew it was going down. It didn't happen over here. It's called the Paris Accord because it wasn't signed over here. It was signed in Paris.
Right.
Now notice, in Paris, you got the Eiffel Tower. It's a homonym. The name of the city of Paris is Parthodon of Isis, or Par-Isis for short, or even shorter is Paris. That means it's the city of Isis. Right? So now when we go, that's telling us to go back and look at the Isis story. Who fell? Osiris. Osiris fell at the hands of who? Set. Just Enki and then live.
I was just about to say that's the same exact story.
This nigga can't even live.
Right.
Right? So now, Horus becomes Tahuti. Because he is the firstborn of the earthborn, parthogenic son of Isis.
Mm.
And that's what made them call her Mary, the rebellious woman. Because she went on about her business and made a male child without consulting with the masculine figures who wanted to subjugate her and her daughters. And he would be the champion of the mother and the sisters, and be the firstborn of the earthborn, parthogenic male sons of the women of the earth. So when you see Tahuti, he's coming just to get the women back their shit. He don't want nothing. The women gonna take care of what they need to take care of, and Tahuti is just gonna facilitate.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm facilitating my ass off.
Tahuti thought.
Mm-hmm. Right? Now, all of the codes, they tell you Isis, but the character should be Moses. When they tell you Moses, the character should be Isis. That's what we don't get. The Isis character in the New Testament, the name Isis is Jesus. I-E-S-O-U-S. Right? But if you don't know that the contract is a riddle, and the riddle, right, is a key to the kingdom. And the kingdom is the kingdom that comes at the closing of the age, the last days. Right? In order for this to be effectuated, you have to be a Melchizedek priest. Well, I'm a graduate Melchizedek priest under Malachi Z. York. Right? As a Melchizedek priest, now I can exercise the rights of the priesthood to claim every priesthood. Right? So now I need a political degree. That means I had to get a law degree without getting a degree. I had to learn enough law to get a degree, but don't get the degree. I don't need the paper. I need the knowledge. Right? Now, once I got the priest degree, and then I got the law degree, right? Now, all I need is the understanding of the workings of the tribe and the family. The leader of the family is the KNG. No vowels in there. Notice that.
No I.
No vowels. KNG. No vowels. Because when you transliterate it, you got to add vowels according to Grimm's Law of Grammar. Now, in Grimm's Law of Grammar say all vowels are interchangeable in translation and transliteration, right? So now I look at the word KNG. Most people see king. I see Congo.
No vowels. So you okay, gotcha.
Right. So when I add the vowels in, I added two O's. Right? Kongo. Everybody else they selfish.
Think about that.
So all they're gonna put in there is an I. King. You ain't gonna get there because the key is the Congo key. Every landmass have a Congo. But most of us don't know this because we need to see ancient maps in order to know it. The average person is never going to see an ancient map in their lifetime. So we can't expect them to figure it out. So Big Mama going to have to pick a son, one of her boys, whose only job it is to figure this shit out. And then between Big Mama and Mama, they going to put him in the condition where all he can do is learn the required lessons of how to read the culture to find the problem.
Right.
And sometimes it requires you to be put in prison for a while. What you going to do with it? They throw you in there. You can't escape the time. It's going to be there. Even if you escape the prison, they going to come find you, lock you up, and give you more time on top of that, and make sure you don't escape no more. You can run on for a long time, but sooner or later they're going to chop your ass down because you can't outrun the long arm of the law.
Right.
This is what they tell us. Right? So you get two options. Study the problem until you figure it out, or run for it. Run, Forrest, run. right? And so here we are, those who don't know me and don't know how sincere I am. I want all our people to get all of their shit. I don't give a fuck about nobody else. But if they want us and they got a nickel somewhere and 2 pennies, I want them to have a nickel and 2 pennies, not because I just want them to have it. It's their shit.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody got a right to their own shit that they already earned. Right? So even if they don't agree with me, I don't care. If you got something coming, I want you to get whatever the fuck you got coming. Good, bad, or indifferent. Right? So when we get done putting the statuses in the public domain, what do you mean, Rod? This is all it is this simple. You go on your social media so you can have the time, dated, and stamp.
I got a funny story about that because you told me this. You put it on your page like a few months back, talking about just post this, write your name in this little blank section and put it on your IG. And I'm like, man, that shit too simple. But I do know
African proverbs say
he was doing that back on Facebook a minute ago. Like, no, I do not agree to this. You just putting it on public record that you don't agree to. Maybe a new law that dropped or whatever.
Now, all of the women over 50, specifically those are seniors, 65 and older, need a representative in the family. That means if you about your business, right? Everybody got a sister or a cousin that know that paperwork, how to keep business stuff in order, right? The eldest female that the most of the people in the family can trace back to that's still living is the heir. All of the wealth is always coming through the motherland. But the right to reign as the alpha male comes through the fatherland. In the only way, that's why you got to have both the blood and the rights. Because before, the people without the blood stole the rights. So now you need the blood.
That's what they were showing. You ever watch that show? Lovecraft Country? That's what they were showing in there, how they basically stole. They ain't had the bloods, but they stole our rights, our lands, our magic. I don't know.
Now, okay, Lovecraft Country. Go to how they did it. They stole the family's grimoire. It's the family's book of life. It tells you who is who in the family. And they have clues in there how to recognize them when they come back.
That's why they've been looking for the Messiah.
They know where he at. The day he born, they know he being born. They already know from the stars and the alignment. Okay. Certain people born, all of the stars align in order to tell a story of who this individual will become if he makes it to maturity. That's how they kept killing the chiefs off as children. That's why they made what we call black on black crime so prevalent in the community, because they ain't allowed to kill us, but guess what? They can put us up to kill us. They can put me up to come do something to you for their benefit. As long as I don't know what I'm doing, I'm gonna follow through with it because I'm a ride or die motherfucker like that. But soon as I find out, hey, wait a minute, that's my brother. Who is these niggas? Now I'm the problem. I'm the worst nigga. I questioned these niggas and nobody else was doing it. Right? I'm the problem now. So I'm not going to participate in their games, and I step back and say, I don't want no parts of it. And then all the other chiefs saying, hey, we need some help with this problem. And you just sitting there. What you going to do? Right? Because all of the chiefs is on deck. There's nobody that's not involved in this shit. Whether you know it or you don't know it, you either part of the problem, part of the solution. There is no middle ground. You either one of the righteous or you one of the wicked. You either part of the motherfucking wheat or you the motherfucking chaff. There ain't nothing in the middle. Ain't nothing in the middle.
Facts, yeah.
I don't give a fuck what your skin like, how tall you is, how fat you is. I don't care if your nose run all day, if you got red eyes, green eyes, blue eyes. It don't fucking matter.
Right.
It's only 2 positions on the board. the right position and the wrong position. I don't want to be on the wrong position. And anybody that's willing to be righteous in the right position, I'm all with that. I'll teach you everything you fucking want to know. And if I don't know it, because I don't know everything, but I ain't that smart as I might seem to some people. I just study harder than everybody else. Doing backflips using my mother's inner uterus as a springboard.
I believe.
I remember hearing my mama telling my daddy, "This is gonna be a good badass boy here. He monkey flipping all up and down in my stomach." I can't tell nobody that. That's insanity to the regular people.
Well, you know, for a lot of people, Brother Rod, though, I used to say this even when I was still preaching, that there's a scripture that talks about, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you, and I ordained you a prophet to the nations. And I think it was Jeremiah. And I always told that was just a prototype for everybody who was, before they were formed, they were known and they had an assignment that they were supposed to fill. I said, but once you make that decision and say, look, okay, I'm ready, I'm gonna go down, that man, that woman come together, that spark, then I'm gonna inhabit that body that's formed from that. Then I said, you float around for maybe 9 months, because I've had preemies, but 9 months in the amniotic fluid, which I would call amnesia juice. I said, and while you in the amnesia juice, you forget what your assignment is, and so your so-called life.
That's how I discovered how to erase my memory.
Right. So your life is one of trying to remember. He said, when you come into your kingdom, remember me, reconnect me to my purpose, to myself. And was it you who said that the lights they throw in your face are like the white that the men in black do? Right.
Now, look, I thought I was crazy when I first seen this, right? Because I seen them when I came out, I seen the bright lights, and I remember immediately being dumbfounded, what they call blinded by the light, dumbfounded by all these bright ass lights in my face. And it triggered a reaction, and it brought in all my prior births. There was no lights. When I was born before, I was always born to doulas under controlled conditions. This is the first time I was born under the rule of an enemy who was uncontrolled of the conditions, and I wasn't in the ambient lit growing up. But as you get more recall of your past lives, you start remembering this stuff. And I was like, that's the major anomaly. And then I keep hearing people say, don't go into the light. And then I remember, before you born, there's no light to go into. Right? When you die, there's no light to go into. You don't see the light till you come out of the light.
Till you come out of the womb, of the matrix. You come out of the matrix.
They saying that it's right. So when they saying that don't go into the light, those are modern birthing hospital rooms. They saying abort the baby. The baby should abort itself up on birth if you see those lights, because you under the control of the enemy. But they not understanding that these lights is not part of the life-death cycle. When you really fade off, you see from a higher consciousness level everything. You're not blinded with no lights. Ain't no lights. But you see the child being born that you're gonna come back in. You're not coming back immediately when you leave most of the time. But when the child in the future that you're gonna come through is being born, you seeing the life of that child. And you are having options of several timelines that this child should be born on. So when they're telling you don't go into the light, they're saying avoid the birth that you're going to come back into the light. Because if you come back in the light, you know that the enemy is on the other side acting like they doctors.
Wow. Well, many scholars come into the light.
The midwife.
Right.
Right. Go back to the warning about the light. Where is it most famous from? Poltergeist.
Yeah. Carol Ann.
Carol Ann, go into the light. There's peace and tranquility in the light. Right? Now, all the time, demons is trying to get Carol Ann, and the witch is telling her to go into the light. Now, flip it in reverse.
So now, let me see. Is your I don't know, your voice is breaking up, and
telling her to go.
Yeah, we're getting you like
into the light.
You're breaking up.
While her to go into the light.
Yeah.
Your
sound is breaking.
Your screen.
Yeah, you're breaking up. Yeah, they're putting it in the, because I can hear you breaking up too. So I'm not sure if
you want me to go out and come back in.
Try that. Just see if we can get a better. Please. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience. Let's see what's going on. Oh, we up in here, 1,200 strong, y'all. Hope y'all pressing that like, giving us the thumbs up. I hope you're sharing. If you don't, at least share it after it's over. But Brother Rod's going to come back in, and I hope you are appreciating this sort of in-depth look into the brother that's been bringing us all of this information here. He's back. Let's hope that the sound is better. All right, Brother Rod, let's see what we got.
We get any improvement?
Yes. Yeah.
Now, from what I'm looking at, you totally black. So the audience should tell me if your screen is black, or if we can see Dr. G.
Okay. Do you all see me? Put a 1 in there. Somebody put a 1 in the chat if you see me. No, I don't. Anybody see me? Did not see it. Can you hear me? Ask you, do you see me? Because I know when we first came on, you were saying you couldn't see me, Brother Robert. I see me. Oh yeah, they see me. They got 1s all in there. Thank you. So
okay.
Believe me, I'm here.
They can see you.
They can see me. They can see you too. Okay. So let's go back to this, because this is so interesting. Let's go back to this birth process and the light and all that, because this is fire, y'all. This is fire.
Right. So go back to when you start
wait a minute. Somebody says we only see me and not you. Wait a minute. If you see Rod, anybody see us both? If you see, you're looking good. So if you see us both, put a 2 in the.
I can see you now, Dr. G.
You see me?
You just came.
All right. Okay, you probably see me too. Matt. Okay. All right. Somebody said a young guy on TikTok. Where'd I go? Here we go. I'm gonna push this up. You'll see this. A young guy on TikTok using gematria somehow matched Rod Hayes to Lucifer. So that's a good thing. Well, if that means the light.
Hey, look. So the Lucifer effect, right? The Lucifer effect. Don't nobody know what it is, but it's written in all of the occult mysteries. Okay. The Lucifer effect is the ability to be able to read the creation from above and from below simultaneously. That's all it is. It ain't nothing else. Take all that spookism, mysteryism, all that out of it. That means that you just got the ability to see clearly from the spiritual into the physical and vice versa. Okay. It's called mirror flipping. As above, so below. What's written in the stars manifest on the ground if you know how to read them. But if you don't know how to read them, it's gibberish and nonsense. Right.
But okay, so back to you, for anybody that's just tuned in. So you were talking about the birth, your birth, remembering this last birth, because you know that you also talked about seeing remembering other incarnations. Yes. And seeing, when do you see future births?
I'm barred from seeing the future, so I don't change it.
Okay.
Right, because I change it to anytime I.
Where'd he go, y'all?
Somebody just called me. Dr. G had to go and come back in.
Y'all stop calling him. He's online. So
can you hear me clearly?
I hear you. Yeah.
Okay.
So you said you would change it if you.
I would always change it for the collective to have the most functional future possible. If I could see the future, I
Yeah.
automatically switch the timeline. But then that would be what you call averting the work required to change it correctly, which will cause a wrinkle in time that can't be compensated for.
Well, since we know that like timelines are not not so much as like chronological, but maybe multi-dimensional, or these other lives maybe other dimensional lives, just like you talked about, the Mandela effect, or these other lives that you remember, might you be living them out, at the same time? May they be? Are we talking about lives that have literally passed and gone and not connected anymore to what you're doing? Oops, you froze. Can you hear me? I tell you, we talking good and they messing us up. You know what this is? You come in. You know what this is, y'all? Because the knowledge that's being shared is to take away the spookism, is taking away the spookism and the fear that even this kind of stuff, they don't want it to get out because they want to keep us in fear. They don't want us to be in knowing. They don't want us to be able to, go boldly into whatever battles we need to go to, knowing that, we are spirit and, we are souls that live forever. They want you to have that same mentality that we've been indoctrinated with in Christianity. Can you hear me, Rod? I'm just trying to fill in the space.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you froze, but go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go. Just trying to keep it going.
Yeah. So one of my past lives being born, I remember in antebellum New Orleans being born, and the room was only lit with candles. The whole room was a whole bunch of candles. That was it. And it had a chandelier, so I know they had lighting. But the chandelier wasn't on, but it was candles all around the room. And it was an elderly, dark-skinned lady and a younger, bright Creole woman that was the doula and the birth maiden. Because you always have to have one with you in training so the knowledge can be shared most effectively by osmosis. This is why we used to use apprenticeships over job training. Because when you do an apprenticeship, you get the hands-on experience from some of the best teachers possible, the experts on the job.
Mm-hmm.
But when you do hands-on training, they just teach you the steps, but they don't teach you how to compensate for little intricacies that come up as problems on the job where you don't have to call a whole army of people to fix it. Right? But she following that principle in the streets today, like if you go to LA,
why are they freezing you? Can you hear me, Rod?
and you tell them that you a Crip blood, they're gonna say, well, where you put your work in, who your witnesses. That means that all of the chiefs always have a witness to.
Okay, y'all, we having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I'm sure he'll dial back in. Are you enjoying this? I know you are. I am. I'm absolutely enjoying this interview. So let me see. Where are you, Rod? Nope, you're right. They don't want this information out because it is absolutely critical even to us, our empowerment, for us to go to that higher level together. We have to also go to a higher level individually. And when we can get rid of the fear of, here it comes. Let me get you back in. There you are. All right.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know why. You said, I guess this is too powerful.
Well, so
you're
at this
saying
point,
you go to LA about the Crips, and that's what.
yeah. So they always ask you who a witness to your work in order to solidify what your status is on the land. That's different from the mainstream cultural norm. So the culture that we use is somebody always have to be a witness that you about what you say you about, that you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do the way you said you was gonna do it. So they call that a witness to your work. every step of the way, I'm one of the most scrutinized people when I look back on the history, because I done been under review since I was, look, when my mama used to go to all these different churches and tents and trailer parks and basements, when I remember being an iron baby, and she passed me around to all these old ladies. They be old as hell. Some of them dip snuff, and they be saying, oh yeah, Shady, it's your one right here. I don't know what they talking about, but I can still remember they chatter.
Mm-hmm.
You
So
know,
he's like, you've been under evaluation since you came out the gate.
right. And it wasn't until in the last 3 years of doing this work, I realized that I couldn't even be here if somebody didn't conjure me up. I have to be conjured up to come into the physical world by a group of people. One tribe cannot conjure me up. All of the tribes have to agree, because they don't know how I'm gonna behave when they conjure me up. And so they have to put me through cycles of training to temper my temperament so that I can have enough self-control to be useful. Otherwise, I'd be useless to the collective, and I'd be useful to some tyrants. Right?
So when you decided to do what you were doing, to take it on like you have, with your whole heart and soul into this, it was it back in 2008 when you came? Or because personally, I just discovered you this year. Video popped up, and it was this year, and I was like, who is this man? And I said, he's a record keeper. Remember when I first? And so I tried to contact you, or I wanted to contact you, and then I said, I'm gonna interview him one day, and then you saw Grand Sheik and I doing a live in the park, and you reached out, and then I didn't believe it was you. But I'm just saying, I'm like, where'd he come from? But you didn't just start doing this, obviously. But when did folks start noticing you, that from your perspective, the way you're noticed now?
Over the last 3 years mostly, but there were certain people in certain places who knew where I've been and what I've been doing since birth.
Okay.
Been getting reports every step of the way. When I make mistakes, I don't let other people pay for my mistakes. That was a rare quality. But none of them believed that I was ready, because they didn't realize how.
Got you blocked. I mean, break it up again. And it could be your internet. Maybe it's the speed on your phone. Can you hear me? It'll be back there, y'all. Yeah, I know why. I know why. And you would think we were saying something wrong and something crazy, but what we're saying is true. What we're saying is empowerment, and that's the problem. Where you at? You back, Rod? You were back. Can you hear me? Okay, he's going to come back in. I see where Paul Wright L wrote, why is it so important to free Larry Hoover, respectively, and why is he, sorry about that with the noise in the background, a big part of things. Can you explain? Well, he can explain when he comes back, but from what, if you've ever heard him speak on it, free Larry Hoover, he said, it's like a battle cry. It's not just, while there is importance about, okay, let him tell you. Brother Rod, there's a question that and I'm just going, even though we're talking about you, but can you explain this for those who've never heard you explain? Why is it so important to free Larry Hoover, respectively? Why is he a big part of things? Can you explain? Please explain.
Yeah, I don't have no problem with that. It's not just Larry Hoover.
That's what I was getting ready to say. That's a battle cry, a rallying cry.
Right. So when we got the 7.4 earthquake in New Mexico, they asking me in a series of exchanges of what we call knocks to knockbacks. The Galactic Council asked me for my leader because of the work that they seen me doing. They want to know who it is that I'm up under? Who is the leader of the clan that I'm in? Because I made all of the successful moves to reclaim our inheritance from the enemies. So when they ask me who I follow, who is my leader, I have to give them my clan leader. I can't give them no politicians because they're not our real leaders. I can't give them none of those corporate big hats because they're not our real leaders either. I can't give them a celebrity. I have to give them somebody that's from the land organically, who walked the same path as me before me, who may not be who people want him to be, but he is who he is to us as a people. The same way the free Larry Hoover, it also equally applies to Assata Shakur, the one formerly known as H. Rap Brown, Malachi Z. York, Chief Malik Angel Bay, formerly known as Jeff Ford, Black Peace Stone Nation, Stan Tookie Williams, who we believed was put to death but was actually put in cryostasis at Area 51. The only person that I would accept that wasn't one of us, that was one of us, that was seen in the public on a regular basis was Farrakhan. Because when I did the science to trace back who the matriarch was, I ended up with Mother Khadijah, using the rules of the land applied on the things that's operating on the land. I have to find the highest ranked matriarch in order to know how to restore our people. If we can't find her, then we don't know how to read the signs effectively enough to know the difference between the imposters on the land and our own people. Well, I clearly seen who she was. Farrakhan has the evidence and the verification proof, and he already presented it, and it's already been verified that all of the stuff that I said was accurate. So when they ask me for my leader, the only person I can give them, being that ever since I was, all of my cousins in my age group that I grew up with from in Chicago, I didn't live in these three cities. Is Grand Rapids, Michigan, Chicago, Illinois, one spot, and learn the culture. The culture is all across the land, but you have to be exposed for a period of time to be able to assimilate this piece. Also, in before I went to prison, I lived in Mississippi. I lived in Memphis, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee. I lived in Seaford, Delaware. I lived in Newark, New Jersey, New York, right? I had to traverse the land, and a lot of these trips from these places was by bus, Greyhound. So here I am riding a Greyhound across the land and surveying the land, right? And so these, to me, these are translatable signs that other people that's listening that know how to read signs can translate, right? And so when they ask why is Larry Hoover relevant to our struggle, is because he was taken from us, a leader that we picked on the land ourselves. The government didn't pick Larry Hoover for the people. The people picked Larry Hoover, and the government rejected him and rebelled against the choice of the people. The same with Chief Malik Angel Bay, right? And it's a whole list of leaders in our communities that was being picked by the people, that was ruthlessly hunted down by a government operation called COINTELPRO, right? COINTELPRO is short for Counterintelligence Program, and the goal was to stop anybody, one of us with the capability, which everybody I named was capable, but it's one problem: you can't be a bond servant and redeem the land. You can't be in prison and call yourself the chief because you're under somebody else's subjugation. That means you are in a foreign jurisdiction. You can't give orders if you're in a foreign jurisdiction on your own land. That means you've been conquered. So me being the next in line saying, hey, if we gonna do what's right, we gonna unilaterally do what's right. Or I don't want to do it. I don't want to do half of what's right or a piece of what's right. I want to do the whole thing change the whole thing to correctness, or I don't want anything to do with it. Right? So it's not just Free Larry Hoover. That's just the condensation of all our complaints. The adrenochrome harvesting, the women trafficking, the sex trafficking, the children, the kidnapping the children, the selling us for in the open market, using our birth certificates, trading bonds. All this has to stop in order for us to ever see true prosperity and a new golden age on earth. And because my give a fuck meter don't move, for lack of a better way of putting it, I don't care enough about the enemy's well-being to not take them off our land. Whereas some people become so familiar in associations with the enemy that they don't care to remove them from the land, from taking food out of our babies' mouths. You don't have to agree with me. I'm still gonna fight for you. Because the universal laws say you got a right to believe whatever you want. You got a right to think whatever you want. Be you right or wrong, that's your right. I can't take that from you. That's inalienable. Because if you didn't have the right to think what you want to think, then your thoughts wouldn't be enclosed in your own self-head. They would be on public display at all times for the random person to come through and change them. But that's not the case. So you got a right to believe what you want to believe. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just going to tell the truth until everybody understands from frequency and vibration and verification of receipts. So don't believe me, check the receipt. Argue with the receipt, don't argue with me. That's my philosophy. The receipt's on the record. Been building up for 3 years.
Yeah. Well, and in the fullness of time or at the right time, that's when I came across you. I wasn't supposed to, I'm assuming, until now. And so it's a good thing. You mentioned the Galactic Federation. I received a call from a sister, and I was supposed to be reaching out to you. I'm sorry. I apologize, rather, to the sister who was a part. Have you ever heard of the Committee of 300?
Yeah.
So she
Committee of 300.
Yeah. So it's sort of it's I believe from what I got, it is sort of galactic in its origin, and she is a part of it. And so she watches. I know she might have seen it, might be on here. I'm not sure. But when she first reached out to me, it was like the committee is trying to figure out who you are, and she kind of wanted to have a conversation with you. But I was wondering if you were familiar with that. Maybe she was selected to be part of the Committee 300.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah,
first and foremost, because I had some of the most prominent
Drop them in the chat, man. We're gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes worth of questions, man. I think it's right here with some heavy duty shit, man. You just gave me a whole bunch of shit. I could write a book on just what you put on what you gave me today. I could go do more research and put a book together called The Holographic Reality.
I got some more to it. We ain't get to.
We'll do part 3. We'll do a part 3.
Okay.
Back free again. We'll see what they got. Hey, if you got any questions, drop them in the chat for the ride. Yeah.
So as you can see, the game of life is the game of the gods. The game of the gods is played in the holographic universe.
Yeah.
The holographic universe produces the earth realm.
Yeah.
The earth realm is where we experience light. The rules say we have to be synced to the earth and come in with amnesia and remember who we are. The little girl told you it was thousands of us around the world scattered out in order to raise the vibration and the frequency of the planet. So now remember, I was showing you on the solar storm how the UV rays interact with the Earth's electromagnetic field. This generates what's known as the Schumann resonance.
Yeah.
But now it's going to be restored to the Shu Tefnut resonance, which is the right resonance.
Uh-huh.
So if you go to Google and you look up Shu Tefnut, it's going to show you the canopy of the sky over the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's the right frequency, the A tone. So as we all make an atonement for the dirt we did, then it automatically re-attunes the earth back to the A tone, which is the atonement of the earthborn in the redemption process to recover earth from those who can't stay here because they violated the cosmic law and created something known as the Great Debauchery. And in the process of cleaning up the Great Debauchery, we collected galactic points of suffering the motherfucking bottom of the barrel shit to build up something called pre-karma. Pre-karma is the points that we created by our suffering, being the firstborn or the earthborn, in order to see those who had less come into their own and be able to achieve more. So we passed the God gene to the God creation because God created something they ain't had no business doing because they didn't have the prime creator permission, nor did they have the permission of the Queen of Heaven and Earth. So now they come into our community to get their drop of blood, but they got to get it by any means necessary, even at the tip of the sword. So the Shriners come in 32 degrees Scottish Rite on the challenge Fezes versus Feathers under George Washington Masonic order to put us in the warlock. So now that we can't in the warlock, we can't access our coffers, we hold our wealth. But in order to break free from the warlock, one of us got to break free from the slumber, come up from under the sleep, build themselves as the perfected man, master of masters, the self-raised master, Hiram Abiph's rage, the motherfucking Masonic Lodge, all motherfucking lodges bump straight. And then 45 come in because he come in off of ACP. Now that's a military firearm, right? Which is in modern times a Desert Eagle, but the Desert Eagle is a 50 cal. And a 50 cal will blow a hole in your ass big enough to walk through.